If you've ever loved a dog, you already know this feeling. It isn't just joy, it isn't just companionship. It's the quiet knowledge, sometimes right from the beginning, that loving something this completely also means one day you're going to lose it, and still choosing to love anyway. People often talk about dogs as pets, but anyone who's lived with one knows that words like this never really quite fit. Dogs don't just live alongside us. They move into our routines. They learn our moods. They notice when something is off, and usually long before we do. They become part of the shape of our days. And that's why loving a dog hurts in a way that can surprise most people, even us sometimes. A dog doesn't love you conditionally. They don't keep score. They don't bring history into the room. They don't withdraw affection as a form of protection. They show up every day as themselves. And when you live with that kind of steady presence, something happens. You let your guard down. You don't just love the dog. You become known by them. They see you tired. They see you grieving. They see you on days when you don't manage much more than perhaps getting through the day. And more importantly, they stay. And that kind of witness leaves a mark. So when people say it was just a dog, what they're really missing is this. It wasn't just a relationship. It was a daily rhythm, a shared life. It was the sound of paws on the floor, the way they waited, the way they knew when it was time to sit beside you instead of asking for anything. Loss doesn't just take the dog. It takes the world that formed around them. There's another part of this that people don't often talk about. When a dog is in your life, they don't just share your good days. They live alongside your ordinary ones too. The quiet mornings, the repetitive routines, the days that don't feel important until they're gone. A dog becomes woven into the background of your life so completely that you don't always notice how much they're holding it together. They give structure without asking for attention. They mark time in ways we only recognise later, by seasons, by habits, by the way they age while we're busy living. And when they're no longer there, it isn't just grief that arrives. It's disorientation. The day still moves forward, but something essential is missing from its shape. That absence can feel strangely louder than noise. You might reach for them without thinking, pause at the doorway, listen for a sound that no longer comes, not because you're stuck, but because your body remembers what your mind hasn't caught up with yet. That's not something to correct. It's something to acknowledge. Another reason loving a dog hurts so much is because of time. I knew even in the middle of the ordinary days that we were borrowing time from them, that every walk and routine was happening on a shorter clock than my own. I didn't think about it constantly, but it was there. A quiet awareness that made the love sharper, not weaker. Dogs live faster lives than we do. We know that when we begin, even if we try not to think about it. Every walk, every game, every ordinary afternoon carries an unspoken awareness. This is temporary. And that knowledge doesn't make the love weaker. It makes it more precise, more intense. You love more carefully, more fully, more in the present moment, which, if you think about it, is really beautiful, but also devastating, because when loss comes, And whether slowly or suddenly, there's no place to put all that love. It doesn't disappear. It has nowhere to go. And that's what grief often is. Not just sadness, but love with no physical place to land. People sometimes think grief is about letting go. But with dogs, and often with other forms of deep attachment, grief is about continuing. Continuing to love, continuing to remember, continuing to carry what mattered. And that's why the pain doesn't mean you did something wrong. It doesn't mean you loved too much. It means you loved honestly. It means you allowed yourself to be changed by another living being. And that is never a small thing. If you're living with this kind of loss, or even with the quiet fear of it, you're not weak for finding it hard. You're responding to something very real. A bond that mattered. A relationship that shaped you. Loving a dog hurts so much because it asks something brave of us. It asks us to open our lives to joy without any guarantee of how it will end. And still, we say yes. That choice to love, knowing loss is part of the contract, is one of the most human things we can do. And if you're carrying that pain, it doesn't mean you failed. It means that you loved. And that love counts.